Welcome to our defense briefing show. Today we're diving into some compelling stories from the front lines and beyond. First up, we're shedding light on the heartbreaking issue of Ukrainian soldiers who have tragically died by suicide. Their families are fighting for recognition and systemic change as social stigma and lack of support continue to overshadow their sacrifices. Next, we turn to Orange Park, where a shocking double shooting has taken two young Navy sailors' lives. A 22-year-old sailor has been arrested, and the community is left shaken as authorities seek answers and public tips to prevent future tragedies. Finally, we explore the U.S.'s latest move in global defense, an $11.1 billion arms package for Taiwan. This historic deal aims to bolster Taiwan's self-defense amid rising tensions with China, sparking international debate and regional concern. Please continue to stay tuned for more details. BBC reports on the silent tragedy of Ukraine soldiers who have died by suicide, a story shrouded in stigma and neglect. Katerina, overwhelmed with grief, recounts her son Oris's death, which official reports claim was a self-inflicted wound, yet she suspects otherwise. Her son, once unfit for service due to poor eyesight, was re-evaluated and sent to the front as a communications specialist, where he became increasingly withdrawn and depressed. The Ukrainian government classifies such deaths as non-combat losses, denying families recognition and benefits, deepening the pain and sense of betrayal among loved ones. Similar stories emerge from widows like Mariana and Victoria, whose husbands, scarred physically and emotionally by war, took their own lives after witnessing horrors and feeling abandoned by the state. Support groups and advocates highlight that many suicides go unacknowledged, with families often doubting official accounts and facing social stigma, which discourages open mourning and recognition. Military figures and human rights advocates emphasize that these deaths reflect systemic failures, and they call for reforms to better address soldiers' mental health, recognizing that those who die by suicide should be seen as heroes, not shameful failures. In Orange Park, Florida, a different kind of tragedy unfolds as Yahoo US reports on a double shooting that resulted in the deaths of two Navy sailors, Noli McKenda and Jordan Forestier, and the arrest of 22-year-old Taylor Marquez Lomax. The incident, sparked by a domestic dispute involving Lomax's wife and his roommates, erupted into a barrage of over 30 gunshots, leaving the neighborhood shaken. All three involved served in the U.S. Navy, and Lomax's arrest has cast a shadow over a community that values safety and stability. Neighbors express fear and sadness over the violence, especially given the proximity to children and the surprising nature of the crime in a typically peaceful area. The shooting underscores the tragic consequences of personal conflicts turned deadly, highlighting the ongoing challenges of gun violence and mental health issues among young service members. As authorities seek tips and investigate further, the community mourns the loss of its young sailors, reflecting on the fragile line between discipline, mental well-being, and violence in the lives of those who serve. The South China Morning Post reports that the U.S. has approved an $11.1 billion arms package for Taiwan, marking the largest in its history. This move aligns with Taipei's strategy to bolster its defenses amid increasing Chinese pressure, focusing on asymmetric, mobile, and cost-effective weaponry like HIMARS rocket systems and Javelin anti-tank missiles. The deal, seen as a way to support Taiwan's self-defense and reassure Trump's emphasis on burden sharing, faces opposition from Beijing, which condemns it as a violation of sovereignty. Despite Chinese rhetoric, analysts suggest Beijing is unlikely to escalate military tensions dramatically, especially given recent diplomatic easing post-Trump summit with Xi Jinping. The package's approval, though largely a formality, underscores Taiwan's ongoing effort to shift from traditional hardware to more survivable mobile systems, reflecting U.S. strategic ambiguity and commitment to Taiwan's security amid China's assertiveness. The Associated Press details the unprecedented U.S. military build-up near Venezuela, with around 15,000 troops and a formidable fleet of ships, aircraft, and drones deployed since summer. The Navy's presence includes the U.S. Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier, destroyers, amphibious assault ships, and submarines capable of launching cruise missiles, signaling a significant escalation in U.S. pressure on Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. The deployment also features advanced aircraft such as 35B jets, EA-18 trawlers, and long-range drones like the MQ-9 Reaper operating from Puerto Rico and nearby regions. This force aims to counter drug trafficking and demonstrate U.S. resolve, with recent flights near Venezuela's airspace marking the closest approach since the campaign's start. While the exact composition remains classified, the scale of the operation underscores a strategic shift to assert U.S. influence and readiness in the Caribbean and South American theater. The Associated Press reports that President Trump's recent executive order to reclassify cannabis from Schedule I to Schedule III could open new opportunities for the industry, which has faced federal restrictions despite state-level legalization. The move is expected to ease regulations, reduce tax burdens, and facilitate research and banking access for cannabis companies like Tilray Canopy Growth and Curaleaf. Although the industry has struggled with federal constraints, this potential reclassification has sparked optimism, with stocks rallying significantly in December. The change does not legalize recreational use, but signals a softer regulatory stance, potentially accelerating industry growth and investment. Cannabis stocks, after years of decline, are now benefiting from this policy shift, which could pave the way for broader acceptance and integration into the mainstream economy. The Associated Press reports that a Miami judge has dismissed a lawsuit challenging Miami-Dade College's decision to donate nearly 3 acres of prime downtown real estate for Donald Trump's future presidential library, effectively clearing the path for the former president to establish a towering monument on an iconic stretch of Biscayne Boulevard. The lawsuit, filed by a local activist, claimed the college violated open government laws by failing to provide adequate public notice before voting to transfer the land, which is valued at over $67 million and is considered a developer's dream site. However, after a more transparent re-vote at a lengthy public meeting, the judge ruled in favor of the college, citing that any previous procedural violations had been remedied and allowed the transfer to proceed, with Trump's foundation, led by his family and legal team, now set to control the property. The Globe and Mail details the ongoing investigation into a harrowing series of shootings near Boston, starting with a mass attack at Brown University that left 2 students dead and 9 wounded, and a subsequent murder of MIT professor Nuno Loureiro. Authorities are probing a potential link between these incidents, with a person of interest identified and actively sought. Despite the FBI's initial statement that no connection existed, investigators are examining evidence and surveillance footage, though the suspect remains at large. The case underscores the difficulty in capturing perpetrators of high-profile, targeted violence, especially when the suspect has managed to evade authorities by blending into the city's older, less monitored areas. The community's fears are mounting as families debate whether to stay in town over the holidays, with officials emphasizing ongoing efforts to ensure public safety amid the unsettling uncertainty. Yahoo US reports that President Donald Trump's announced the Warrior Dividend, a $1,776 bonus for troops, has been clarified as coming from a military housing supplement funded by Congress, not from tariffs as previously suggested. The payments, part of a broader tax cut extension, are derived from a $2.9 billion housing allowance increase included in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act and are intended to mark the 250th anniversary of American independence. This move highlights Trump's ongoing strategy to tie economic benefits to his tariffs and legislative efforts, despite skepticism from analysts that tariffs alone generate enough revenue to fund such widespread dividends. Historically, politicians have used direct payments as a tool to garner support, but critics warn that these measures could exacerbate inflation and distort economic realities, especially given the gap between projected tariff revenues and the actual costs of the bonuses. Nikkei Asia reports that Japan and China are teetering on the edge of a precarious relationship in 2026, with Taiwan at the heart of escalating tensions. The recent controversy sparked by Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi's remarks on Taiwan has ignited a fierce diplomatic battle, pushing Beijing to demand retractions and internationalize the dispute through the United Nations. This incident has served as a stress test for both nations, revealing how swiftly diplomatic language can spiral into military provocations, such as Chinese fighter aircraft radar targeting near Okinawa, increasing the risk of miscalculations. Beijing has used this episode to reinforce its sovereignty claims and embed them into global diplomacy, while Japan seeks to maintain restraint by emphasizing the 1972 Japan-China joint communique. Meanwhile, the U.S. aims to manage escalation, avoiding automatic triggers for conflict, while reassuring allies like Taiwan and Okinawa, where the daily realities of heightened military activity and local anxieties underscore the region's fragile stability. The region's future hinges on diplomatic discipline, crisis communication, and avoiding a self-fulfilling cycle of escalation that could turn political disputes into security crises. Associated Press highlights a different kind of strategic shift. Federal regulators' approval for tech giants to connect massive data centers directly to power plants, a move aimed at boosting the USA in artificial intelligence and domestic manufacturing. This order simplifies energy access for large consumers like Amazon's cloud services by allowing colocation agreements that bypass traditional utility channels, potentially accelerating data center growth amid fears of energy shortages across the mid-Atlantic. Power plant owners and utilities have expressed mixed reactions. Some see it as a necessary step to meet surging demand, while others worry it could shift costs to ratepayers or strain the grid. The order emerged from a dispute over a colocation deal at the Susquehanna nuclear plant, reflecting broader concerns about balancing rapid technological expansion with grid reliability and affordability for everyday consumers. As the U.S. aims to lead in AI and manufacturing, this regulatory change marks a significant move towards accommodating the energy needs of a digital economy, with ongoing debates about how to ensure fair costs and a resilient power infrastructure. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopsis thoughtfully curated by the 6DO team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6DO Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6DO team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6DO Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6DO Brief via email.
Morning coffee, fresh off the press, reading headlines, feeling blessed. headline loud and clear. Need the latest, got to know. Never stopping, always go. Scrolling, swiping, reading on. Daylight breaks in the dark. Headlines and headlines, can't get enough. Learning about the world, yeah, it's my stuff. Headlines and headlines, stories are full. Knowledge is power, truth to behold. Need the latest, got to know. Never stopping, always go. Scrolling, swiping, reading on. Daylight breaks in the dawn. Headlines and headlines, can't get